Good morning to you. This morning I'm going to continue with regards to our INF2611 2021 assignment 4. I'm going to finish the second part of it. Yesterday, as you know, or last night, we said this is the database connection, and we got this working. So that now we just want to work on our components, which is this screen over here. So we're going to carry on working on, we've already created most of our form, so our form layout is done, but now we're going to apply these commands onto our code. Okay, so first of all, we got our machine started. I then opened up the GUI, Qt Designer GUI. Went and I opened my assignment 4 UI just so that I can easily access the names of components and things like that. Then I also opened up the code that we have from yesterday, and I also opened up my control panel, and I click on start for both of these things. Okay, and once I've started both of them, click on this admin part, and we take the admin should take us to the login screen. So let's just close this down quickly. Go here, go to admin, and it should take us to our login screen or our MySQL database. As you can see, we on our database, and over here we've got our INF2611 DB. These are our tables. We've got our login and our manager and event info and client details. So when we executed our code, we were able to log in. So I'm just going to show that quickly. We clicked on the run, and we got it to the login screen, and we used the username of John and our password. We click on login, and you can see it says login successful. And at the moment we've just programmed it to open our about page, which is this page over here. So we know that our login is working. Okay, let's continue today with continuing with our code. So what happens after a successful login? It calls the function self login, and we've got our sub window. So what I normally do is I then go back and add the other windows, okay, and I also set the titles of the windows once we logged in. So if you noticed, the title of this window wouldn't have been set because I haven't done it yet. Okay, so I believe the about one should be almost the last page. So we're going to just put in here self UI mdi area dot, and I'm just going to actually mostly copy most of this command actually. So I'll just copy here till I get to the underscore. Okay, put that over here, and I want window 2, I believe. Let's just go back here. Which one is window 2? Window 2 is this one. Yes, that's the one that I want. And the database management one is that's normal sub window. Okay, so I just want sub window and sub window 2. So those are what I'm going to add here. Sub window 2. Okay, and then I'm going to paste it on the top here, and we just want sub window. I'm still going to leave maximized as number 3, okay, but the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set the window title. So my first window is self.ui.subWindow, and I'm going to use the set window title, and I want to set that to database maintenance. Okay, and we're going to do the next one. I'm going to also just actually copy from here. I can actually just copy the whole thing because it'll be easier than me typing it out. Okay, we're going to change this to sub window 2. Whoops, put it on the wrong side of the dot. Dot set window title, and this one I called it report information. Okay, and then the last one was our sub window 3. So if we go here, we say 3, and 3 was the about us. About application. Okay, so now we have our 3 titles, and then we're going to make about us show up. And as you can see, I haven't connected any signals and slots to the thing. So let's just run it so I can show you what happens. Because you want to connect the signal and slot so that it can the menu options can actually work. So if we go here, say login, you can see it's got about us. Now when I try and click on reports and that, you can see that it doesn't show up. But when I minimize this, you'll see I can, okay, it still hasn't added it, okay, because of our code. Alright, so let's go back and let's go and add. So remember what I was saying about we need to add it. So over here we went and we added the MDR add sub window. Oh, we did actually add it, add sub window. So I wonder why it's not showing up. Self UI MDR area add sub window, self.ui sub window. Okay, I noticed that even in my live code, adding it over here doesn't add it. So you have to actually add the MDR forms over here in order to show it, so that it comes part of it. But the way that I worked around it was I created signals and slots for the different menus on the screen, and that would still call the MDRs. So let's go and work through adding the signals and slots. Okay, so when I have a look on the form, you can see I've got an about option here, I've got a report option here, and I've got a database option over here. So I'm going to create signals and slots for those, okay, so that it will show up. So if I go for the database management, maintenance first, I'm going to type in over here, I'm going to say self.ui dot whatever the action is called, okay, and that one was action database maintenance. So I'm just going to copy that, okay, and put it in here. And the difference with this is that when you even though you're clicking on the menu option, it's actually not called click, it's called triggered. So you're triggering a menu, and so all action buttons work with triggered. So you use the triggered instead, and we're connecting that, and we're going to connect that to our I'm going to create its own method. I'm going to call it self maintenance. Okay, there we go, like that. Alright, so that will open the maintenance window. I'm going to declare my maintenance just now. The next one, the next screen that I wanted to work on is the reporting screen. So if I click on here, I've got an action called action report. Okay, so we go here, action report. I'm going to say triggered dot connect, and I'm going to also self and reporting. Okay, action is the about action, so I want self UI, and the action is action about, so I'm going to just choose that. Okay, I'm going to say triggered over here, I'm going to say connect. Okay, and then you got self dot about. Yep, it's correct, self dot about. Okay, so now I'm going to declare the methods for these at the bottom of this over here. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say def, and just want to get my code in front of me. Yes, maintenance. So we've called the first one maintenance. Just going to copy it from here. Def maintenance self. Okay, and then we've got self.ur and whatever the sub window is. I've already got the, okay, I see I also set the title again on this one snippet of code I've got. So maintenance, yeah, we want that. Self.ui, I'm not going to use that. There's, yeah, I'm going to just say self.ui.show maximized sub window. So this is the maintenance window, so I'm just going to say here sub window dot show maximized. Okay, so when the user selects on the maintenance window, it will open up that window. Okay, and the next one was the reporting one, so we've got def reporting. Okay, we've got self over here, and then I'm just going to copy this exact command, and we just got to change it to sub window 2. Okay, like that. And then if they choose the about option, we want it to be able to show up. About self. Okay, then we're going to just copy this one, and we're just changing this to 3. Okay, so let's run that. When we run that, we should see, okay, we go to login. Login is successful. You can see we can go to report, we can go to database maintenance, and so that's how we can navigate through the forms. Okay, so that sorts out that navigation part. The next part that we needed to do was actually work with data inside of the tables, and so the first one that I want to set up is the one for the database maintenance. The reason being is, or no, actually reporting was also fun, so let's do the reporting one so we can link the connects and all of that button together. So what I've done is I called on the reporting screen. If I go to this reporting one here, minimize it, and let's go, yeah. So you can see I've got a button and I've called it connect. So what I do is I create the signal and slot for this connect button, and my connect button is got a clicked event. So if I scroll up to signals and slots, so this is where I always put my signals and slots. So I'm going to put it in over here. I'm going to say self.ur and my push button, and I'm going to say clicked.connect, and I call that self.connect. Okay, so that's my method. So now if I go and create that that option, I'm going to actually create it at the bottom over here, so we don't navigate too far. Def connect, and we go to self, okay, like that, and just want to find my connect. Yes, here we go. So what I did was I created a variable, and I said the variable should be the db name, and I said db name equals self.ui, and then whatever the user enters on this line edit. So it's got to read this line edit to say what is the user selecting. So I'll put it over there, and I say text, okay. Then I use my try and accept message, and what I'm doing is because I've got to specify the database name from here, I'm going to just pass it the db name. So I'm going to just copy this part of my code, and I believe I've also got this part in here, so I'm going to just add that to here. I'm going to say, yep, I want to try my db. Okay, so I'm going to just go back to try, because of the indentation for Python matters, so you need to make sure it's correct. Okay, and then so I'm going to leave it on MC Connect. I'm still going to leave my host as local. My user is still going to be INF2611 with my special password, but instead of the DB name being defined by me, I'm just going to copy this variable over here, and I'm going to paste it in over here. Okay, and then obviously here, so I'm going to just call this start of cursor instance. Okay, I'll put that there, and then this I actually had access main database. Okay, so this cursor needs to also go there, and then they asked us to inform the user that they are successfully connected. Inform the user that the database is connected. So what I did was, for this special one, I went and I added it onto this label. So we're going to put a result over here. As you can see, it says waiting for connection, so I'm going to put it over here, self.ui label result, and I'm using the set text method, and I'm just specifying you are now connected. Okay, and that's all that I'm doing just for now, and I just want to show you that it's working. But what we should do is we should also add our exception here quickly before I go to the next one. So let's go except MC, which is our this MC part over here, MC.error, okay, as E, and then we've got our self UI label result, and we're going to use a set text method, and we're going to tell them unable to connect to the database, entered. Okay, so that'll be our exception error. So if we click on run, go to run module, I'm going to put in our username and our password, going login. Login is successful. Go to reports, we click on reports here, and our database name was called INF2611DB, as you'll see now, it should change. You are now connected. So all our credentials are correct, and it is now showing that we connected. So the next part, what we're going to do is we want to be able to show the tables of our database in this drop down, and then after that we'll want to load the data of those tables into here. So I want to just do that quickly. So let's carry on here. So what I did was I used a retrieve statement at the top over here, and I said retrieve all names of the tables. Okay, and so we still use our cursor object to do that. So what we do is we say cursor dot execute, and then in SQL we would use, and then we're putting brackets in here, and we've got a dot format, so this puts in the format, and then we're going to call this, we're putting it in the format of the DB name. Okay, there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask it to show all the tables. So cursor execute, show tables. Alright, and now what it does is we're passing all the show tables. We're going to say it must fetch all the tables. So we're saying result equals cursor dot fetch all. Alright, so that fetches all the rows. Okay, if you wanted just one, you could change this to fetch one, but we want all of them. Okay, so now we're going to create the name, create a list to store the table names. Okay, and what we've done is we're using a combo item list. Okay, and we've said it must form an array. Okay, and then for each array we got for data in the result, it must now append to the array. So we go here, say this. Okay, it shouldn't take me below it. Okay, yeah, there. Okay, cb dot append. Okay, and then we converting the data to a string. So that's where our string or text comes in. Okay, then yeah, that's it. And then the next thing is we're going to say here, I'll put here using translate to remove special characters. Okay, and so this is more complicated, and not 100% required, but it's just easier for us to read into the program. Yeah, so we're removing any commas, and we've got string. Wait, maybe it's removing special. Special that, yeah, and then put another one like that. String dot punctuation. Okay, creating an output list. Okay, and s dot translate, remove table, Okay, self.ui, we're now passing it the results out to our combo box. So I'm just going to go back, and our combo box is this combo box table. Combo box table dot add items out list. Okay, so now if you have a look, what will happen is the text part of our tables will appear when we have our combo box. So that's what these things do for us. I'm missing the correct brackets. So we go to report, and we're going to put in INF2611 DB. You're going to see it's going to say connect, and then here is showing us all our tables that we have. So this is what I wanted to achieve. There's no data in any of the tables, but if I clicked on load data, you'll see it doesn't load anything because I haven't linked the load data button to any signal and slots. And also, like I say, most of the tables are empty, but what will happen is we'll be able to populate our columns once we've linked the load data to the signal and slot. Okay, so let's go ahead. I think we might have created, do we have it? No, they haven't got it. Okay, so the first thing is to add the signal and slot. So I'm going to say self.ui. I'm going to change back to my form here, and this is the name of my push button. Okay, so say here push button dot clicked event, and the slot is to connect to self dot load data. Alright, so now I'm going to declare that load data part. Okay, yeah, so I might actually just leave it over here, so because it doesn't matter which order you put it in, it executes according to what the user selects. Self. Okay, so we've got load data. So what I've done is I've just copied this over here, and I said okay, we want to read that database field, and then also what we want to do is get the table name. So I've got table name, and then equals self.ui, and then the name of the combo box. That should be somewhere over here, combo box table, yeah. And the method that we're going to use to read it is current text. So I'm going to put in that here, current text, so that it reads the current text of the combo box into this variable called table name. And then I'm going to use my try and accept. So I'm actually going to just copy this because most of it is correct here. I'm still leaving my DB name in here. I've got my cursor object, and then the only difference over here is I want to create a query. Okay, and I've actually got a query, cursor execute, select. Okay, so yeah, it's just a different one. Hashtag create query. So cursor dot execute, and so select star from, and I've got it in here, dot format, and we're just converting it into the format that is acceptable to be read. Table name. Okay, close my brackets. As I say, normally fetching all records. Fetch all records. Result equals cursor dot fetch all. Okay, and then from here I've got to use the column names. So what I've done is I said col underscore names equals, open my brackets, and I've said names 0 for names in cursor dot description. Okay, I'm setting up my table widget. Okay, so self.ui, and I'm using my table widget, so that's this over here. Okay, table widget dot set row count to 0. So this basically clears the number of if there's any previous records, it sets it to 0. Self UI table widget set column count to the length of the col names. Okay, so it's grabbing the length of the column names and it's going to add that many columns. Okay, self.ui table widget dot set horizontal header labels to the column names. So now it's going to actually add the names from our database into the columns. Alright, and I've put here populate the table widget. Okay, so we're saying for row number, row data, enumerate result, and we say self.ui into the table widget, insert row and row number. So what it's doing now is it's basically going to add records into the table if there are any records that exist. Okay, so for column number data in enumerate row data. Okay, item equals qt widgets dot q table widget item str data. Convert the data to a string. Okay, we're saying self ui table widget set item row number column number and item. And the last thing that we do is we notify the user that the data has been added. So I believe that it should go back here and it's going to say self UI, and I believe our label was label result over here, so we just update that. Okay, label results, and we use the set text method to say data loaded from table. Okay, and then if there's any errors in any of that, it's going to go straight to our except. So we need to add our except error over here. Except MC error as E. Okay, and we're going to say we're unable to connect to the database provided. And that's it. So that's the full command. So let's go and run it. So we've got our signal and slot that's working. So password login. Okay. Click on there. We go to report. Click on report. Type in here INF2611 DB. We say connect. Okay. We want client details. We're going to load. Let's see if it loads. Nope, didn't like it. Okay, I figured out where my errors were. They're small spelling errors. You can see here I used col name, but all of these are col names. So I had to add my S over here. And the other thing is, when I was typing, my column, I forgot the M over here, so that was what was causing issues. So if I click on run module now, click on OK. This is why I always recommend just doing it, even though it feels painful. It's just better to do it in incremental steps like this. Test it, see if it works. Once it works, then move on. So I can click on report. I'm going to put in here INF2611 DB. I'm going to say connect, and I'm going to say load data, and as you can see, it's now bringing in all my columns, even though I don't have any data in the columns. So that'll be my next exercise, which is to now go and start maintaining the database, so that I can add an entry into that table, which the table that we're going to add a record into would be I think it was the customer, the client, or the manager's details. I think it was the manager's details. So that's what our next step is. Okay. So the first thing that we want to do is go and look at our signals and slots, because that's the key for this. So we've done login, connect, and load data. We've got our different triggers. So yes, so the last little bit, we're going to start programming each button. So I'm going to say self.ui, and then I'm going to switch over to my form, and I'm going to click on this button, and I want to put this button in here, and I want to paste that in there. If the user clicks it, it must go and do what we want it to do. So I've named it self.new. Okay, and then the same for the next button. We've got self.ui, and the next button I believe would be save. So we've got that. We want to highlight that push button. Okay, then we've got our clicked. Okay, and connect. We're saying self.save. Okay, and our next button should be the delete button. So we go here, click on delete, copy that, and do that. Dot clicked, connect, and saying self dot delete. Okay, then the last button is our find button. So we want to be able to click on find over here. Click the event, reconnect, and I say self.find. Okay, so now we've created four different methods, and so now we've got to define each method. So let's do that. Def new self. Okay. Def save self. Okay. And def delete self. Def find self. Okay. So now we've got that. Let's go and figure out how did we do this. So the first one was what we did was when we clicked on new, we said it must set all the line edits to blank. Okay, so the way that we do that is we use the self UI, we choose this line edit, and we're gonna, yeah, see I didn't rename these line edits, so that was where I had picked it up earlier. Line edit, we want to set the text, and we're going to set it to blank, and that's how we would set it to blank. Okay, so the next line edit, okay, so we've got line edit 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so let's go and do that. That dot set text, we're setting it to blank. I'm actually then going to just copy this across, because I'm sure that we have got them in numerical order. 3, 4. How many do we have? 5. So we've got 5 of them. Okay. And so there's 5. Okay. So we've gone and we've set it all to blank. The next thing that we need to do is we need to enable the client ID, the manager's ID, I should say, the manager ID field, line edit. Okay, enable the manager ID. So that one is this option over here. Okay. And the way that we do that is we say set enabled, and we say true, just like that. Okay. Then the next thing that we have to do is disable the new button and enable the save button. So enable save button and disable new button. Okay. And the way that we do that is we've got our self push button new. So we want that, and our save. Save. So we're going to set enabled here. Set enabled to true. Okay. And then this one we want to set enabled to false. Set enabled false. Okay, so that will show us our new part. The next button that we're going to do is do a save button. So I'm going to still use our try and accept. Okay. And this time, instead of a Sql Select, I'm going to use a sqlINSERT. And what I was wanting to show you guys is that it's not that difficult, because with MySQL and this PHP, we could just go here to Manager, and when you click on SQL over here, you can choose the Insert Into, and here it's already populating most of the information for you. So the only thing that's got to change is the values, and so I'll show you now what we do. So you can copy this whole command, and I think I might actually just do that just so that it makes it easier for you guys to see. So yeah, copy that, and I go ahead and I put it in inverted commas. Okay, oops, it's not working. It's just, why won't it work? I want to copy, select all, yes, and copy, Control C. There we go. Okay, and because I don't want all the things to appear on one line, I've got the values going on to the next line. So the way you do that is you put a backslash in over here, and then you can tab across, and we've got our first comma over here, and then we put in a double inverted comma, and we say plus, and then we take our line edit. Okay, and so I'm going to just copy this, but we don't want to set the text, we want to actually use the text field. So I'm going to take this value 1 out over here, leaving that end apostrophe. Okay, and I'm saying text, and I click on plus, and then I put it in the inverted like that. Okay, and then what I do is I have a comma, and then a space and a backslash. Okay, and so then I just keep on populating these fields the same way that I'm doing. So I'll just copy this, and I will paste that in here. Okay, and I'll go and I'll make it like that, plus, and I've got to not forget to add the text, otherwise I'm going to have problems. Okay, and I've got my comma, backslash here. Okay, and the third value, I'm going to come in here like that, and I want to take that comma out there. Okay, there, plus, oh, forgetting a plus over here. So you've got to have a plus at the beginning and at the end. Text, plus, and I'll over there. Okay, that, and we need our number 4. Fourth value, Control V, plus, text, there we go. And then finally our last value. Now our last value, yeah, it does still go into the double inverted commas, because I had a problem originally where I was really struggling to get this to work the way I wanted it to. Mustn't forget the plus over here. Okay, and then yeah, this is still a plus, and that, and then we've got that, and the last bit I believe is that. Okay, I think that was it. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're now going to pass this sqlINSERT to a cursor. So we're going to say cursor dot execute, and then we use the sqlINSERT. and we put it in over here. Okay, and because I'm using XAMPP, it requires me to use db commit because I don't have autosave on my database. Okay, and so that was something else that I had to experience. So the next thing that I'm going to do is just let the user know that they've inserted a record. So I'm using the queue message box. Okay, I'm still using the about message box, and I'm going to say self, and I'm saying record inserted. The record was successfully inserted into the database. Okay, so I'm going to just stretch this out so we can see it all. Okay, like that. Yeah, so that's that. And then otherwise it's going to show an exception error, MC error, okay, as E. And then I'm going to still use the queue message box, so I'm just going to copy most of it from here to here. Okay, and I'm going to just let them know record not inserted. Okay, unable to insert record. Okay, so that is the save. Okay, the next one that I've got was delete. So let me go to the delete. Okay, so for delete, the requirement was that we have to let the user know, are they sure they want to delete. So with that one, we start off with a queue message box option right in the beginning. So we say answer equals queue message box, and this time instead of about, we're using a question. Okay, and then we say self, and yeah, we'll just say confirm. Okay, and we say, are you sure you want to delete this record? Okay, and then I'll put a backslash over here so that I can move it onto the next line, and then I'm giving out the message box options. So we've got queue message box either yes or a queue message box no. Okay, and then we're also giving them an option of cancelling. So they've got queue message box dot cancel because some people are worried about the thing, and then we're going to just put queue message box cancel as the default. So we write that here. Okay, so that'll be the default choice. And what we do is we write an if statement, and we say if answer equals, and then we say this queue message box yes, queue message box yes, then we're going to start a try, and we're going to try and delete. So instead of using sqlINSERT, I used a sql delete statement, and I got that same thing. I don't think it's got it on here. Yeah, they do have a delete. Yeah, so you can copy it from delete. So what I did was I used the email as a primary key because not many people have duplicate emails. So I said that it should use the email address. So said there sql delete, and I said delete from. We use a special apostrophe manager, and then this special apostrophe is above my tab keyboard on my keyboard and next to number 1. It's to the left of number 1. Okay, so this is not a normal apostrophe like you find by your left, on the left of your enter button, but this one is next to the number 1 key on the top row of your keyboard. So just to let you know. Okay, so we've said manager. Okay, so we need to delete from manager. Is that what our table's called? We've got to just go back, and yep, we've got our table manager, and then we check the columns and we make sure, did we name the column email? So no, I've named it M email. Okay, so I've got to choose it here. So I'm going to say where M email. Okay, and then what you do is you just say equals and then whatever parameter you're going to use. So I'm just going to use that. Okay, so from manager, and then we say where, and we're saying M email. Okay, equals, and we use our special apostrophes, and we're saying plus the line for the email. I believe the line should be the 5th one. Yep, so we're just going to add this plus over here like that. There, like that, and then we're going to put a double and a single, and then we're adding another one here, and we're going there, so that I've got that. Okay, so the last bit is to now execute. So we're saying our cursor execute, and instead of the sqlINSERT, we wanted to use the sql delete. So I'm just going to copy this, Control here, Control V. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll let the user know, tell them, okay, your row was successfully deleted. So we're going to do that in a message box. Okay, message box dot an about. So we're using an about message box, and we're calling it information, and we're saying entry was deleted from table. Okay, and then as I say, because of me using XAMPP and it's not having a auto save, we just use db commit. Okay, then if there's any errors, we want to be able to output our error, mc.error as e, and then we also want to use a queue message box about, and I'm going to say delete error, unable to delete the record. Okay, so that shows. Alright, and then what happens is you then need it to go back to the first record. Or no, didn't. I just I created a first record, I see, but I'm not gonna use it right now. So yeah, that was what I did for the delete part. Okay, the find part, let's go and add that code. Okay, find, yeah, try. So we're going to start off with the try, and this one we want to use a select statement. So we're just going to use our SQL select, and we're going to say select star from our table, which is manager. Okay, and we're saying where, and I'll put the M email. where email, okay, equals, and then our single and apostrophe, and then the email address. So we just use this, okay, Control-V, and I'll put a double and a single, okay. Yeah, that looked like all that I added there, and one last double just to finish off our whole select statement. And now we're going to execute our query. Cursor execute, and we say SQL Select. Okay, and then what happens is we want to just fetch one row, so we're going to say row equals cursor dot fetch 1, okay, and then what happens is we're going to ask it to check if there's any if there is anything that exists. So if row, then we're going to put a Q message box. Oh, I'm using a comma instead of a dot, so we're going to have issues there. Q message box about, okay, and I'll say record found. No, record not found. No, yeah, record found. Okay, record found. Your record will now display. Okay, and then what happens is then I just use that set text part that I had earlier. Instead of using, I'm just going to copy this, okay, over here like that. Okay, so we've got all our records, and then the set text, what we're doing is we're converting each row into a string. So I've got string, and then I'm saying row, and because this is the first row, that's what why I'm using a 0, because in each array arrays start from 0. Okay, so now what I did was I just copied this, and I just pasted it into the next one, and instead of 0 I just used 1, so that it uses the next sort of column, and then whoops, Control-V, so go to 2, here, and I go to 3, and then I'll go here, and I'll go to 4. Okay, so that will display all the record if it's successfully found. Otherwise I've got an else statement, and I just used the same Q message box, and I said record not found. Q message box, record not found. Record does not exist for this entry. Okay, and then I've also got my except error. So I'll go back to here, and I say except, I'm saying MC error as E, okay, and I also display a Q message box about, and this time I called it a find error, okay, unable to utilize the find option. Okay, so those are my four commands. But as I was saying to you, what I did was I created a first record, because when you when you go to the page for the first time, there's obviously nothing there, and you want to be able to have something shown up for the user when they click to that record. Okay, so I'm going to just show you how I did it. It obviously was just something that I thought about, but it wasn't a requirement from the UNISA lecturers. Okay, let's go try. I still used Sql Select. I think I actually used most of this anyway. The only thing that I did was change the select, the select thing. So let me just copy and paste this. Okay, and this I just said select star from that. There's no real search as such, and I'm just putting select star from manager, cursor execute Sql Select, fetch 1, queue message box. I took this queue message box out because I didn't need it. We weren't looking for a certain row. I just said it must show all the information if a record does exist. So I didn't put an else statement here. I just left this as if. Okay, and then the except error, all I did was say select error. Select error, no information in database. No information in database. Okay, and so I can take all of these extra lines out, and my code should be ready to run. Let's go and test it. Okay. Okay, and so I'm going to database, going to database maintenance. As you can see, there's nothing here, so I'm going to click on new. Let's see what it does. Oh, doesn't like something. So my new's got some bug in it, and I need to figure out what bug is it. Okay, so I've tested the program, and what it was I misspelled false over here, and so this is causing the problem. So now if I click on run, go run module, you'll see put in my user details, go to login, go to database maintenance, go here, click on new. You see how it's disabled my new button, and it's got a save. So I'm going to put in 1, and I'm going to say here John and Pereira. Okay, I'm going to say 011 300 4000 and john@gmail.com. Click on save. Oops, must have another issue on my save. So let's go back to our save here. We've got insert into ID, first name, values, on edits. Okay, don't see any errors. Okay, I seem to be struggling with inserting a record, but it's strange because it worked and now it's not working, but in your example you can see it's not working. So what I'm going to just do is just show you that I've added the record in manually into the database, okay, using the same command. So if you go database here and you click on new, I'm just going to create a second record, and I'm just going to put here John Ferreira, okay, and the contact number 300 4000 and john@gmail.com. okay. It's going to crash, but if you click on save, you'll see I've asked it to print out the command. So according to this command, this is the exact command that's needed to add an entry into the database. So I'm not sure why it's failing. Okay, but what happens is when we click on run and I say find, you'll see that the find is working, which is very, very strange. I'll need to just spend some time trying to find on it. But what happens here is we just click on john@gmail.com. We click on find, and it says your record is found, and you can see there's my record, and it's because I've added it manually into the table here. Okay, and the same thing, I can hit delete. Let's see if it'll. Are you sure you want to delete? Yes, and it should delete it. It's still also giving me issues. So yeah, I wanted to just show that part of the exercise. I'm running out of time. I'm going to just show that, and then when I've figured the correction, I'm going to make a third part and show you the third part of what I've done to fix whatever error I'm picking up. So thank you for watching. I hope this video has been helpful, and all the best with INF2611. Thank you. Goodbye.